In this lesson, I'm going to talk about parallelograms. Before I actually get into them, we should figure out what a parallelogram actually is. And it's nothing more than a quadrilateral with two pairs of parallel sides. So when you look at mine, I have my parallelogram marked. The top and the bottom are parallel, and the left and the right are parallel. So I have two sets of parallel sides in my parallelogram. Now we're going to look at all the properties that we looked at in the computer lab. The first property is that the opposite sides are congruent. Now what I did is I took that property and I turned it into a conditional statement. So it says if a quadrilateral is a parallelogram, then the opposite sides are congruent. My next one deals with the opposite angles, and those are going to be congruent in a parallelogram as well. Again, I put it into an if-then format. Next one I have talks about the consecutive angles, in other words, the ones right next to each other in the parallelogram. Those are going to be supplementary. So if you add them together, it's going to equal 180 degrees. The next property we have deals with the tab in the computer lab where you tried to make one of the angles right, and what happened is when you make one of the angles right, then they're all right angles. So I look at this one as saying if one angle is a right angle, then they're all right angles. Now that only works in a quadrilateral because it has four sides and four angles. My next one deals with the diagonals. When you looked at the two diagonals, they're always going to bisect each other, cut each other in half. And the last one I have, if you just take one diagonal and put it into a parallelogram, it creates two triangles, and those two triangles are congruent. Now it doesn't matter which diagonal you use, both of them will do the same thing. So those are the 6 properties of parallelograms that I want you to remember. And that's where I'm going to quit with the lesson part of parallelograms.